Hi everybody, welcome to Yoga with Anadil. I am Anadil. Thank you for joining me today for the next in our refinement series. Today's tutorial is looking at refining our side plank pose, Vasisthasana. So not only will we look at the safest alignments, the places to build strength, but we will start at the very beginning of the journey to show you options to enter into this pose. And then as you build confidence and strength, there will be places that you can move into with variations until you reach the fuller pose that suits you. So let's get started by coming onto all fours into our tabletop position, where the hands are stacked underneath the shoulders, shoulder distance apart, and our knees are underneath hip points. Now traditionally in side plank, Vasisthasana, which is an arm balancing posture, the arm is stacked directly underneath the shoulder. But this may be very load bearing, especially as you start. And actually over the years I have found that by just moving my hands from this traditional box position, just maybe an inch or two forward, not too far, just an inch or two forward, that when you lean into the arm with more of a right angle in your socket here through the pit, it feels a little bit more stable. So you can have a go at that by just shifting your palms maybe an inch or two forward of your traditional box pose, tabletop pose. And to begin with, we'll support ourselves on the knee so that we get a sense of the balancing in the arms and lifting the weight. So we'll begin by curling onto the left toes and lifting the left knee. And we're going to pivot the whole thing over to face the left side. So you can drop your left foot, your left heel, down towards the earth so that you're resting onto the outer edge of that foot, and then you can work towards sealing the sole of that left foot down onto the earth. And here we begin to pivot on the right knee by sweeping this foot to the outer edge of the mat. So now the hip points, your navel and your heart are heading towards the left side. Now to begin with, I would keep your gaze down onto the earth beneath you to help your balance. And first things first, step out of your shoulders. So if you're sinking in and your shoulder blades are pulling behind your back, big breath as you stand tall through your shoulders and separate through the shoulder blades. Really press all of the fingers in and make a little suction into your hands so that you energize through the arm. It helps to just sweep this elbow around to help your socket sit nice and strong into your shoulders. So with all of that, as you breathe, you can begin to lift this left hand now. You might start on fingertips and really engage the heart into the back, the navel into the spine, and you're avoiding the pelvis tilting out, so you're just keeping the tailbone nice and long. And with all of that, when you're ready, you can lift the hand towards your heart to begin with your gaze still pressing down onto the earth. And you may feel like you're ready to lift your hand up towards the sky. And if you're feeling steady here, you can begin to take your gaze forward, maybe even up to your fingertips. So this is the entry, or an entry, to Vasisthasana, your side plank, so well done. And we'll make our way out and down. Let's pivot back, bring the knees down, and it's quite nice just to take the weight off the hands in between your efforts so that you're slowly building up the weight in the wrists without overbearing them all in one go. So that's the first option, and if while you're in this, this feels a little bit unstable, as always with our other videos in our practices, you keep the body engaged by drawing up through the quads, engaging through the feet, pulling up the kneecaps, so there's full activeness from tip to toe. So that's the first option. The second option is to take the knee off the ground but still have some kind of support in the weight. So you're beginning to take flight, and we'll do this by once again starting in your your tabletop position, keeping the feet hip distance apart, and we'll lift our knees off the earth and into plank. And you'll pivot the heels over to the right hand side, and your toes are pointing to the left, and you hop your left foot in to give you some support. And it's the same activeness as we had in the previous one. So you're working towards energizing this leg, try not to sink that hip down, so keep it lifted. And we keep the gaze down to begin with. We stack this knee nice and safely over the ankle, and we lift. And you take your choice of gaze. And if your arm's shaking, really press into your fingertips, inner elbow sweep forward, navel in, maybe the gaze goes up. And to come down, sweep your hand down, pivot on the balls of your feet, come down to your knee, and back into your tabletop position. So already that shifts more weight into the arm balance. It needs more strength in the shoulders, and that is supported by more activeness in the core and strength in the legs and activity in the quads. And whenever you feel ready to move into another option, and there's no set time for you to do that, is whenever you feel like you want to move into a different variation, here's another one you can try. So it's the same setup as option 2, with the hands shoulder distance apart, feet hip distance apart, with our knees under hips, and we lift into plank. And with our feet hip distance apart, we pivot once again to rest the heels down onto the earth. So you've got both feet on the ground, on the inner and outer edge of each one foot, and you begin to stay more into your plank position. So if you're piking up through the hips, you work them down, but by the same token you're not sinking. So you find that strong position and you engage the legs. Maybe your feet are making their way down towards ceiling on the ground, and then you can try to lift your hand onto the heart, pressing the fingers in, lifting the palm through your hasta bandha, your hand lock. You can lift through that hand, engage the legs, remember the strong core. You can look forward and you can look up. You can take a breath here and you bring it down, support yourself, pivot on your feet, come down to your knees. Shake that out, especially if you're doing all of this video in one go with all of the options. Please make sure you're taking a little bit of time in between to allow your energy, your mind, as well as your wrists to catch up with what we're doing. So it might feel nice just to shake it out. You can twist through the wrists, do whatever you feel, and take as long as you would like in between these options before you try the next one. Now let's look at the fourth and final variation of side plank that we're working on today. Starting as we have been on all fours, but this time let's just move in our box position, taking the option to move the hands maybe just an inch or two from the shoulder heads, forward from the shoulder heads. So let's bring the knees together and the feet together. As we lift the knees, and this time we'll pivot both feet over to the left side so that one foot is now stacking against the other. So this is the smallest foundation in the feet that we've had. You are only on the right edge of the foot, and you begin to lift through the hip, engage through the knees, maybe gently engage the glutes, keep your gaze down, and you can lift here. Spread the toes and breathe. And then you can take various options. And you breathe here. And there are more variations where you can start to fly with the legs as you move further into your practice, but that's for another video. And when you're ready, you can come down and breathe it out. Onto your knees. Take the knees wide and spend a moment or two in child's pose. So it's quite nice to lift the palms to the sky, turn the palms to the sky, just to give them a little rest, or you can swim the arms behind you, just to give yourself a little rest from these very strong arm balancing poses. So I hope today's video tutorial has helped you to see how you can make your way from wherever you are right now into the later options of the side plank, Vasisthasana. And it doesn't have to be a quick journey from the first variation to the last variation. I do invite you just to enjoy where you are, feel the strength, the power, the stability wherever you are, and just enjoy your journey in this yoga pose. Thank you very much for joining me today. If you did enjoy this tutorial and found it helpful, please do give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more, please do subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you.